everyone. My name is Leanna. Thank you for joining us today. Today we are going to be talking about this short film that I'm really excited about. It's been a long time coming, and yeah, I just hope you guys love it as much as I do, because the discussion, you're going to want to see it after you see this. So today I have joining me, sitting across from me, a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Taliyah Baptiste. I'm a senior right now at Georgia State University. I've been studying film for a little while now, and I'm ready to graduate this year.
Yes, ma'am.
Jump deeper into the film. So,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Georgia State alumni in the house, and alumni to be. Right? So I want to get into like the backstory of it all, because I think that's a good starting point, because I remember your last work. Talk to me about that one, I Miss Me. So give us a little brief summary on that one, and how do you think this connects to, I should probably say the piece first. How do you think this connects to Where Did I Go? Your second piece right here.
So when I made I Miss Me, it was actually my production one teacher. She made us do an experimental film. And I remember she specifically said, she was like, I wanted you guys to do experimental film because a lot of students don't know that they like it until they do it.
Yeah.
And then they're always like, why do we have to do experimental? And that's exactly how I felt. I was like, why do we have to do experimental?
Really?
I was like, who wants to do experimental? That's how I felt.
You didn't like it?
No, I didn't. At the time, I didn't. And now experimental is like one of my favorite.
Yes.
You know, yeah, I know, it's crazy.
It's not even just your favorite.
Yeah.
I would say it's one that you have mastery over. Like,
yeah,
it's
I've been
really
definitely,
like,
yeah.
It's your thing. That's
yeah,
your bag.
It is.
You know, so.
Yeah, I didn't like it at first, and she made us do experimental film, and I had like this idea of what I wanted the film to be, and it was like very calculated, and it just wasn't working out. And I remember I was getting upset, but at the same time, she was like, it's experimental. Do whatever you want, put it together, submit it. And so I was walking around Georgia State, and I filmed like just different clips. And I remember I got to the end of the day, because I filmed at Georgia State, and I also filmed at this art event I had went to for Maya Bailey, a local Atlanta artist. So I was putting all of these clips together, and I remember I was telling my classmates at school that I was going to call the film 10 More Minutes, because I was getting so frustrated with the film. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to film for 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to go to my next class. And in that 10 minutes, I got a good chunk of the film.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until after I was putting the film together and I put the music to it, I realized that, to me, it felt like a film of somebody who's like missing an old version of themselves. And so that's why the title I Miss Me came along. Yeah. And so for Where Did I Go? So it's like a continuation. It's like now you recognize that you miss yourself, but you're like, where did I go? Where can I go find
how do we reconnect?
Correct. Yeah. So that's how the two intertwine.
I love that. I love that. I loved that first piece for sure. That's another one that I'll make sure to link in the bio, so that way, well, not the bio, the description, but, you know, just so that they can find it. Because I feel like it changes the way you watch one. And, like, you ever see, like, movies and, like, a series where if you watch the second before the first, it changes the way you see the first? Kind of like Star Wars a little bit. Yeah. So I wanted to get into your inspiration and mood. Like, I don't know if you guys see this shot up here, but like it was moody. It was a moody one. Like, and I loved that for you because I just felt like it made it so cohesive. So where do you feel like you drew that from?
So for this film, it was me and Cam, and I had another classmate. His name was Tristan.
Oh, yeah, I saw him in the credits. Yeah.
So it was the three of us working together on this film, and we had to make a film that also interacted with our coursework. And so we were in a class entitled Music Videos as Black Art, and so we were learning about a bunch of different Black filmmakers and everything. And the two that stuck out to me were Roy De Carava. He was a photographer. And if you look at his work, a lot of it's like dark. Like, you know, a lot of photographers, they focus on like lighting, everything. He's like, if it's in the shadows, it's in the shadows, you know. It's like what's meant to be seen is what's meant to be seen. And so I went for like a darker film for the most part, like especially when you look at Mackenzie and Aaliyah's part. A lot of it's dark. It's at night. It's like moody.
But it's so good.
Right.
It's so on the nose.
Yeah. So that's where I drew inspiration for that. And then we met another filmmaker. Her name was Janika. We actually got to meet her. She came to the school. It was amazing. She was great. Like, if I could have a mentor, I'd choose her.
That's who you choose.
Even from the stage, like, we were sitting, like, decently far back. Mm-hmm. And even my friend who didn't know her at the time, she's like, yo, I want to meet that woman. I was like, yeah, because you could just feel her energy from the stage. And when I got to speak to her, she was telling us, she was like, sometimes I direct things and I don't know if I know how to direct. And she's directed for, like, Beyonce, you know? So it's like, to hear that from her, I was like, wow, you know? She was like, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to capture a feeling. And so I used that and implemented that. I'm like, how do I make the feeling that I'm trying to create? And so that was the mindset I went through making the film.
Let me tell you, you did that.
Thank you.
Y'all did that.
Thank you.
Like, I was feeling it when I watched it. I always like to start with the fact of the timing that I watched it, because it was like, you sent it to me after my sister's party, and then I didn't get to watching it. So I was at my grandma's house, like, sitting there screaming, like, ah! It was 3 o'clock in the morning. She's trying to be quiet because she go to bed early.
I remember the voice notes. You're like, you're like,
I was
whispering
in the
quiet.
phone. I was like, Taliyah, this is amazing work. You did a great job. I love it. I think everybody should see this. Like, that's how this whole thing came to be. But I think it was everything. And I think it's definitely going to go far. And I'm excited to see where you go from here. So I think that kind of connects us into experimental filmmaking.
Yeah. In general.
Is that something you're seeing as, like, that's going to be your vibe going forward? Like, is it going to be, like, an intent? Or are you thinking you're gonna visit other
honestly, my goal after graduating, I want to travel and do humanitarian work and documentary work in different countries. Like, that's my thing now. I do enjoy documentary filmmaking, but I love the openness, that experimental. So I'm always going to do a little bit of experimental. Like, so I make a goal to try to do one every year now. So this year. I Miss Me was the year before. So yeah, I think I'm always going to be tied to it because I just love to, like, having no rules, no boundaries. Do whatever you want. It doesn't even have to have a story if I don't want it to. So it's just, like, really testing my visual capabilities.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to take that with you into, like, documentary, like, any other style of filmmaking you do. You're probably going to take that into you. And I think it's good because it gives you a sense of boldness and it's, you know, to just go out and make it how you want it. So I'm excited to see that. So we are going to do a little bit of a deep dive for this section. So I brought the iPad with me. Thank you, Atlanta West Studios.
Yeah.
Yes. For this gift to us. But I really want to get into this beautiful image that we have up here. This will be the only one you guys will see on the board, but I'll make sure y'all are able to see it on here. Tell me about this shot, okay? I'm going to pass this to you, I'm going to put it on edit mode. So if you want to draw anything for us, we'll be able to see it. And you just elaborate on that because I thought this shot was just...
It was dope.
It took
a long time.
And I want you to get into, for me, how you made it. Because I remember when you told me the story of how you made it, that was even cooler. So just break it down for us.
So filming this project, I'm not going to lie, it was a lot, like, taxing on the body.
Yeah.
Very, 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 because we were filming in 2 days. And
what was the crew size, if you don't mind?
I'll probably say, like, 7 to 8 people.
Yeah.
Crew.
Small crew.
Yeah. It wasn't that big. And that was, like, coming in and out, you know? So it's like, so it was a lot. And then when it came to props and everything, like, I was so particular. Like, I wanted this umbrella to look a certain type of way. So if you look on this section right here, you'll see there's more.
Yeah.
Like, rain. That's a reflection on how tired I was getting. Because essentially, I had to, this is yarn. So I had to glue each
I see
individual.
What you mean by there's more.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
But honestly, now that I look at it, because when I was looking at this section, I prefer it a little bit more spread out so that you could see more of her face. But yeah, it was like 5 a.m. and I was sitting here cutting yarn, hot gluing yarn.
It just clicked for me. That side has more because that was before you were tired.
That was when I started tired, but it was a progression. It was like I was like
string here, here. I got you.
Yeah, but I mean I love it. Like I feel like if I had continued doing it as tight as it was, 1, I would have ran out of yarn. I didn't have enough yarn, and 2, it wasn't be as like you wouldn't be able to see her face as much. And during the scene, you know, she does that look up.
Yeah.
And I feel like you would have lost that if I had continued that way. But I do like that on the side that it has all of this yarn because the light is just bouncing on that side.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that this lighting is just like, we had a projector. This was inside of a classroom. We had a projector light that was projecting like this light blue. And it was just like a reflection of the light. It wasn't even projecting towards her. And then honestly, it's just like somebody is standing on this side and then somebody standing on this side with their iPhone lights. And it's just bouncing off of the umbrella. Like, I had called my production manager. I was like, yeah, bring me 2 lights. And he was carrying the lights and everything. And then somebody was like, I was trying to move production. Yeah. I was like, somebody hold your iPhone light so I could see real quick what it's going to look like.
If it was enough.
And I looked at it and I was like, oh, I don't even need the light. I was like, just hold the iPhones.
I love that type of moment when you're on set and it's just spontaneous because you need that going forward, even when you got the budget. Yeah. You know, because that type of quick thinking, that's, what do they say? Time is money. Yeah. You're on the clock. So, yeah, that's good.
I think low budget filmmaking, I think even if you have a lot of money, low budget filmmaking really could teach you a lot.
It can.
It can. Like, and there's no experience.
You're never more creative than when you're broke.
Correct. Correct. Because, like, even later in the film where there's that piano scene where the piano's playing itself, like, that's my friend pressing the buttons from the back, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, it requires a different level of creativity that I think, like, even if you have money, challenge yourself. Pretend like you don't.
Yeah.
And try to make a film. Yeah.
Don't use the money. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So thank you for breaking that one down for us. I really want to get into this next one because I'm really excited about that one too.
Yeah. This is my favorite shot, by the way. This umbrella scene, my favorite shot of the film.
This is mine.
Okay.
This is mine because when I saw this one, like, my jaw was just like,
okay.
I love that.
Okay.
Yeah, I love this one. So
which scene?
You gotta talk to me about this one, like,
this scene
in detail.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't click edit, but you know how to do it.
Yeah.
So,
this scene.
This one, it's just so good. Like, I just felt like, you know, the scene in the movie where it clicks for you, where you see the vision and it's all making sense. And not only does it click, but like you feel it. Because I remember when I watched I Miss Me, like, I really like. Even then, I was relating to the story that you were telling. And then when you continued it, I was like, dang, I'm still there. Like,
yeah. I mean, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, like, of my life, like, for how I feel. So, with this scene, when it comes to gathering inspirations, everything, I advise anybody, Pinterest. Like, they try to knock down Pinterest.
Okay. Yeah.
Pinterest is where it's at.
I've been using Pinterest a lot more.
Right. Yeah. And if you curate your Pinterest, like, my Pinterest looks like a bunch of film shots. Like, that's how my Pinterest looks. Like, I don't use it for anything else.
Clothes, y'all.
That's another thing. It's like, if I want to do something different, I get on a different Pinterest account because this one is curated for film and photography specifically.
Word to the wise. Okay.
So there was actually a similar shot that I saw somewhere on Pinterest where somebody was like, it wasn't exactly like this, but it was like of the same vibe. And I was like, oh, I thought that was like the dopest shot. And I was like, how can I convey this into my film? How can I make it mine, you know? And so I, for this scene, I kind of wanted it to feel like she's going through her own mind. So we had filmed a shot previously where she was like super happy. Like, one of my friends telling her like this wild story and she's just like laughing at the story. And we filmed that. We color graded it to make it look really blue. And then we bought a projector and projected it onto a white sheet. And then there's like a piece of drape, like pipe and drape that's holding it. And so that's how she's able to walk through it. Because I thought it would be cool if she walked through her own mind, you know. Because
it was a good visual.
Right. Because after this scene is when she confronts the woman in the red, you know?
Ooh, yeah.
So it's like,
get to her.
Yeah.
We gonna get to her.
Yeah. So honestly, even if you look at the film, when she walks through on the other side, you can kind of see like the light from the projector still projecting in. If you're like really one of those people that's like, oh, I gotta
critical with the
I let it go.
I like that though.
Yeah, I let it go. It was real.
Light adds like, you know, a more spiritual element to it, and it kind of makes you think in a more metaphorical sense. So seeing the light, I feel like adds in anything, you know? So
yeah. So I mean, honestly, it's just the projector. I can't even draw too much on there because it's just the projector projecting on there.
Like,
but
I think the shot stands for itself, and I'm gonna make sure I stitch it in so that way everybody can see it and get their overview of it.
This is a great screen grab. The only thing I would have maybe changed about it is if I could like light her face a little bit more over here. But then at the same time, I was like, that's not really what the shot was about. So I wasn't too nitpicky on it. And it was also a pickup day. So we were like off of class. Like we weren't even supposed to have this day to film. So
wow. And that's the one that makes it in.
We were like in an abandoned floor of our school. We got permission to be there, but we were we got permission to be there, but it was very sketchy. Yeah, I was like, I don't know.
I like to say GSU is Atlanta. It's downtown, so you're not really on a campus. You're in the city.
You are. You are.
There's a lot of places like that, but yeah, thank you so much for participating in that because I definitely wanted to just kind of capture, what it takes to make these things at this budget level, and I think people don't know how much it takes. They just see a shot on TV and they're like, I can do that. And then you try and get in there and do that. And you gonna learn.
Yeah, it's not easy.
You gonna learn why the budgets be like 50 million, you gonna learn. But it's really inspiring to see so much creativity at this level. Yeah. So thank you guys for watching this segment. Taliyah's not going anywhere. We got some more coming for you, so stay tuned. Welcome back, you guys. We are joined with the Jeter twins. We got them sitting across from us right now. So, where do we start? Like, I think this is really cool because when I first watched the film, I saw your face and I was like, oh my gosh, like we were in class together. It just made me feel like so, like Georgia State can feel very big, and you can feel like, dang, am I even in school? Like, or am I just in Atlanta? Am I just hanging out in downtown? I felt like I had a job. Like, I would go to class. I would do my work in the library. When I get home, I would, of course, abandon my work. I didn't really do homework at home. We're not going to talk about that. But it just felt like a job more than a school, a community. And, like, seeing that you guys were working together, because I didn't even know that you guys knew Taliyah at the time. Like, I was like, that's crazy. It's a small world. I love that about Georgia sometimes. But yeah. So let's get into this, right? Okay. So I wanted to pitch the first question to you guys and just talk about, this character. Like, you're part of the story. She's kind of dealing with creative self-doubt, and what does that really mean to you? And then what was your method in, like, trying to convey that in the story?
So I feel like self-doubt is kind of like a reflective thing where you're looking back on, like, circumstances, situations, relationships, and it's kind of like you're thinking about, I should have done this, or why didn't I feel this way, and why didn't I, it's always like you're thinking about things that you should have done, and it's like it creates a self-doubt in your mind. It creates insecurity even. And so I felt like, which is brilliant of Tally for the idea of having my character look back at her life. And so I feel like I've done that before. I'm sure many people, has done that. Like, you're looking back on your life and you're thinking like the decisions you made or the choices or the people you used to talk to or, friendships that didn't last or, work. And you're just like, what could I've done? What could have I done differently? And so I feel like I related to that in that way. And so that's where I kind of had to bring myself to the character a little bit when it came to the self-doubt and just reflecting back on like this, like everything that your life really, and just seeing like, wow, like this is where I am. So
I love that. I really did see that in your performance, like especially the theater scene. Like we'll get into that in more depth because I want to show that scene. But it's just like the expression, like you can't fake that. Like it was just so real. Like I really related to that. Like that was another part of the film that like clicked for me. Like, yeah, Like, I feel that because we've all been there, you know, Google Photos, bringing up that picture, that person don't want to see no more. Like, I was having a good day.
What's worse is those archives, those memories that pull up, and you're like, this was your life 5 years ago.
Remember pre-pandemic?
Wait a minute.
She said, I was delivered.
Remember happiness?
Remember those
Go to
people,
work.
Remember those people that you, like, used to do everything with, but now you don't talk to each other anymore? Like, just heartbreaking things. And, like, that captured it beautifully. And, like, in a very aesthetic way, might I say. Like, because, you know, film, you could capture everything, but then that's reality TV. And, you know, I'm not going to say too much on that. But, you know, I just love the way you guys brought it together in that. So, do you want to answer what it was like from your perspective? Because you had a little bit of a difference there, you know?
So for me, I saw, like, my character, the antagonist, as, like, a shadow. So it's, like, the shadow kind of portraying that self-doubt. So it's, like, always lingering, like, behind the person because you can't really, you know, you look back and your shadow always there. You're like, okay, hold on. Like, you know, I'm not trying to be my own person. But it just shows that, like, you know, it's always, like, I don't know. I feel like she was very, like, numb, like, very, I guess just numb from being so much, like, dark and just, like, you know, the regrets and, like, the fear of, like, being that person again. And, like, even, like, from at the very end, like, it shows how, like, sometimes honestly, you have to, like, overcome it because you don't want to, like, be at the end and it's, like, overcoming you. Like, even the last very shot where it's, like, the antagonist is standing and she's, like, on the floor and it's just, like, really, like, how much, like, the self-doubt can really, like, overcome.
I think it's a good realization to see it, like, physically and not just mentally, like, how much power that doubt can have in your head if you let it overcome you, because you have, like, in order to, like, overcome and, like, be able to move on with your life, you do have to acknowledge that doubt and the, you know, the self-doubt, and you have to acknowledge it, and then you have to be able to move forward and be like, you know.
I think, I don't remember who it was. I heard it at the Expire conference. I went with some friends, and he said, courage is not the absence of fear, but it's doing it anyway when you have that. And I love what you brought up about, you know, how it can really, like, hold you back if you don't address it, because I think there's at one point where your character slashes the painting, and how you can kind of, like, as, like, an artist, from, like, an artist perspective, you can tear down your old works.
That's so good.
Oof, that hit, like, when you just, it didn't hit until you just said that. Like, that's what I love about, like, experimental filmmaking, because you get new insight every time you watch it. And, like, that was something that just, like, dang, that is real. Like, I sometimes struggle when in, like, my writing process to, like, just keep it and move forward. Like, sometimes I can't get through a script because I'm just trying to edit it as I go. And I remember there was one semester where I think I got to, like, it was 30 pages, like, just off the rip, because I would not allow myself to read it. I was like, if you don't remember, well, make it up. I guess we're going a different direction now. I would not allow myself to read it, because every time I would start to read it, I would start to pick at it. And that was the most I was ever able to produce in writing, because I stopped editing. So I love that so much. Did you want to hop in on that question, or do you want to wait? Because I got some more for you. I got some more heat for you.
I'll just add the one thing about, you know, seeing it visually and everything. That last scene is like, you know, it's when you come to realize that you're holding your own self back, because this whole time throughout the film, she's like, yo, this person's, like, bothering me, right? It's like, it's not until finally Mackenzie looks at her and she's, like, in shock, and she's like, wow, it's like, it's me. And so that's why she's, like, so beaten at the end. She's like, I'm holding myself back, and I don't even know how to navigate past that.
I love that. I definitely relate to the feeling of being your greatest enemy, because anytime I've ever heard something bad about anything, I thought it first. Anything I've ever made, it's always been me who's like, this. I remember, you know how at Production One, they make y'all, like, talk about your projects? I would be like, okay, y'all, but also this. I just be mindful that I had to shoot this in, like, this time. And I'm, like, trying to separate it instead of just, like, and most of the time the feedback was, like, good. I roasted, I flamed it before they could. So, Yeah.
I had a professor for my production when you weren't allowed to speak before you watched your.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you were allowed to give, like, before you filmed, you were allowed to tell.
Who did you
people.
have?
It was Professor Lehman. That was one of my favorite professors. You had her too? She was one of my favorite professors. Like, I loved her class. But, yeah, you were allowed to do your, like, before you filmed and everything, you were like, oh, this is my idea. This is what I'm going to do. But when it came day to show, there was no talking.
She said, you will be quiet in my house.
Well, yeah, she just wanted us to, like, she was like, don't try to give excuses and everything before, because sometimes, like, you overanalyze your own stuff. And it's like, what you hated about the film, somebody would be like, wow, I really love that. So that's what she kind of wanted us to know.
That's deep.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. So whenever I show people films, I show them first. And then I'm like, okay, so then tell me what you think. And then I tell them my thoughts.
Ooh.
I'm definitely taking that.
Yeah.
So, she been dropping some bombs on me, y'all. I'm glad y'all are here because I was like, Okay. So this one I wanted everybody to answer, but I feel like we kind of already get to this, but if you want to go into it deeper, feel free. What elements of this story did you feel like you were like, I see me there? Because I know you talked about it a little bit, but if you want to go ahead and elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we all been through breakups, but I went through a breakup earlier in that year. Yeah. And so I was healed from it now. But during that time, I was thinking back on, like, everything, just like, oh, like, what in the world was I thinking? Like, just all these stuff that's coming in your head. And for me, when it comes to like things like this, I am like a visual person in my mind. So, like, I saw my character literally like the movie, like seeing myself watch myself through a movie. And so, like, I could just see, like, replaying everything in my head, like, oh my goodness, and like just getting triggered because you just can't let it go fully. And so it was really definitely like a beautiful thing to, like, see and, like, heal through. Again, really fully heal through it. And just really recognizing that, like, you don't have to like put yourself down, like you shouldn't be able to do that. And I feel like I came closer to God, and he definitely redeemed me from these negative thoughts, because oftentimes, the devil would get you to ruin your own life, like, cause he can't like mess
he can't
up
do it
God.
himself.
Right. Like, my God is greater. So, like, he'll get you to do it yourself. And so definitely understanding my authority and the power that I have, and just trying to clear out, that mental stuff. And that definitely helped me. So I thought it was kind of beautiful to kind of see her story, like, myself. And
that's good. That's deep. Did you want to go next?
Yeah, I feel like, I definitely, like, can, like, relate to the character as well. Just, like, having, like, those situations where you messed up, or, like, something happened, and you're just like, dang, like, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? So it's just like that, just reminiscing on, like, things that I've done before. But then, like, realizing, like, what Kenzie was saying, like, how, God, like, pulled you out of that. Like, recently, last night, actually, we was sharing our testimonies with some of our friends, and I was like, oh, just, like, just acknowledging the things that happened. Like, that's already a step in itself. And I think even with the character, her at the very end, like, really realizing that, it was herself. And I feel like that's a step forward in itself, even though it seems like, dang, like, I'm holding myself back. But it's like, you have to give yourself grace because you're acknowledging that. So me sharing my testimony again, because it's been like years since I even brought stuff up. I forgot about that happened to me when I was younger. I'm like, what in the world? But then it's like, now it's like a sense of, like, freedom in a way, like just kind of being a little bit relieved. So,
I love that. Did you want to elaborate?
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I relate to the whole film, That's what
I mean, imagine you would.
Yeah, because, like, I really thought it all out, and each scene had, like, something to do with me. But I think if I had to choose one, it'd probably be the piano scene. Because to me, it was, like, it had, like, a lot to do with how I felt. Like, for instance, like, when you sit down on a piano, you have to push the buttons to make that music, so you have all the potential in front of you, but it's only you that can make it happen. So that was, like, kind of my thing. But then it was also because the piano was playing itself, it's like she felt out of control. So it's like you're in this song, but it's not your song, but you're still in this song. So that's kind of how I felt about
deep.
that
That's
scene.
so deep.
That's real. That's big deep though. Because when you were
So
talking,
deep.
I was thinking about, like, how, sometimes as, like, creatives, you wait for the motivation, you wait for the inspiration, or, things like that. Sometimes we are distant from where our gifting comes from. And it's like, no, you can activate it. Like, you can take charge. Like, when you took off after her, you was like, nah, I'm doing this. Like, so it just, that brings it together beautifully. Like, again, like, new insight. I love that. Yeah. Oh, okay. Now this is a good one. No dialogue.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Honestly, I mean, obviously it's great because you don't have to memorize lines. I feel like it's also a challenge in its own because it's like everything has to be shown in your eyes and the facial expressions, your body language. You know, there's no words to rely on, and I feel like that's a challenge that a lot of people don't realize. Even like pantomiming. If you go back, like when I started off acting, it was like pantomiming or improv, you know, so there's no words, because I feel like that in itself is the hardest thing. If you know, it's easy for somebody to just say lines, but without the emotion there, that's really not acting, you know. You have to be able to bring the emotion first before anything, you know. I'd rather somebody have emotion than like just say lines, you know. So I feel like it was a challenge and a good reminder to really focus on the eye expression and like everything.
That's great.
And I feel like for my character, like the body language was important too for mine. Like, because it's like, it's not really loose. It's very like stern and just like, you're like stuck in one spot. Like, you know, you're stuck in the self-doubt, you're stuck in the grief and the regret. So it's just very like, again, like numb in a way. And even like the way she's standing, it's just so like, she has no like, no.
Very stoic almost.
Yeah, it's just like, no feeling there. Like, you know, when you just get so overwhelmed with like things like and then it's just like nothing there. I feel like that was definitely her. So I feel like she was just very just still.
And your character, I feel like, kind of had the power. That's why your character seemed more stern and upright, while mine was more like, you know, like down,
just somber, like down. But mine was still like in the suit, like very like power, because you know those emotions are powerful, like the self-doubt and grief and all that. Those are powerful in a way too.
Yeah, I wanted to feel like Aaliyah's character was dominating Mackenzie's character, and I think that's what we conveyed.
I think you guys definitely captured that. Like, I don't want to say too much because I always want to jump into the scenes, but let me get to this last question, then we can do that, because there's one scene that I feel like, ooh, I got it right there. So, for you, how did you feel about like approaching directing with these two actors? You know, because actors, they bring their own. How did you navigate that? What did you feel like? And you guys can jump in there too. You can snitch on it a little bit. Like,
you can snitch.
Like, oh God,
I'll take it. Yeah. But you know, I'm still new into directing and everything, but I really tried to go off of like their dynamics as like sisters and everything. Like even the chasing scene, I'm like, imagine she made you mad, and you gotta put her on this pavement, like, you know. So it's like things like that. I try to relate it to like real life experiences and everything, just to help them get into character and everything. I try to give them motivation and everything. If I liked a certain thing about one take and a certain thing about the other, I just try to bring it all together.
That's dope.
I feel like Taliyah is an amazing director. Honestly, genuinely, only because like when we're giving direction, it's not like she does it in such a way where it's like, okay, on this take, I really like this. So on the next take, let's see if we can add this or bring this to it. It's not just that sucked or I don't really like it, try something else. You know, it's very clear on the instruction.
And even if somebody's like, oh, that was good, like, what? You know,
good does not help me. I need to know maybe like why was good or what to keep, and like, oh, you brought this emotion, let's keep that, you know. Like, I feel like words when it comes to directing is so important. I feel like you're a great director, and you should definitely keep doing this.
Thank you.
It's literally the funnest that I've ever been. I was so comfortable. Like, and I love how everything just felt so natural. I didn't feel like super nervous or anything. It was just felt like kind of home.
That's great. I definitely see that in your personality. Like, even the way, you know, you talk, you definitely bring out, like, you know what you're looking for. And I think that's, leaders need to know what they're looking for, because you're to your point about, oh, that's good, that's bad, you know, like, what was good, what was bad about it. And I feel like you're definitely the type of person who knows what you wanted out of it, what you're going for, and that gives clear direction for them. So I got a scene here for us, okay, because I think this one, you just got to see the visual. So I'm going to pass this around, or maybe I'll just put it here. I'll stitch it in post, but talk to me, Mackenzie, about that look. Like, I just thought you ate that. Like, I know you don't like, we was just talking about that in the cut. Like, I don't like to look at myself acting. But, like, girl, you ate that. Talk to me about it.
Thank you. So I feel like in that moment, it was like really like looking at, you know, my past and looking at where I was and just thinking back like, wow, this is where I used to be. I used to be so happy. You know, I was laughing more with friends. You know, I was just in such a great time in my life. And it's like now I'm like, you know, I'm by myself. I feel like this is like my lowest moment where I felt alone, like so alone, nobody to have, nobody to talk to. And so in this moment, I'm just like really like, I'm really sad and I'm really kind of like ashamed of where I'm at. I'm like just not where I want to be. And it's kind of that self-doubt kind of coming in again. Like, this is not where I want to be. Like, I'm disappointed. I feel like I was trying to bring the disappointed look in myself. Just thinking about it. I believe that was the word you gave me. It was the direction that you gave me.
I think it was like something like disappointed or like something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, when I looked, I just got like almost kind of like lost in it. Like, she just disappeared. She just like, that's how I felt. Like, there was a season in my life where I was just like, where I felt like I just woke up and I was like looking in the mirror and I'm like, who are you? Like, when did you get here? When did the other girl leave?
Right. That was what I think that's what I described it to you as. Like, I was like, you got to feel like a spectator in your own life.
Yes, exactly.
Essentially, that's what it was. So it's like, you're sitting here in the theater, you're watching yourself, but it's like, it's not you anymore.
Yeah,
you know?
I love that. It's not you anymore because that's what is triggered in me when like those pictures come up because it's like,
oh my god,
that's my face.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you just don't recognize at all.
Who is that? You know. So what would? Oh, and now we gonna get to you. We gonna get to you, Frank, because this like. There's so much subtle detail here.
Even in the eyes.
Yeah. Like, well, no, I'm talking about you, sister girl. I'm talking about like your lead in, like where you kind of come in. Y'all will be able to see it in better detail when, you know, I put the cut in. But like, what was going through your head and like that, like sitting and observing her observe herself? Like, that's layered.
It literally just brings me back to that shadow again. Like, it's just always lingering in the back. Like, just, like, that controlness of, like, just controlling, like, how she's feeling, like, the disappointment and stuff. So it's kind of, I feel like it's just, like, I don't know.
I mean, even because you're in the back, so it's like you're above me as well. Like, you still hold
in
that
the
power. Right.
You're
looking down at me, look at myself, and it's like, you know, like, this is what you...
Introducing that red, powerful color and, like, this dark theater, and then it's just, like, boom. And she's just sitting there just, like, just watching you be sad. You know?
I was really interested in your character study specifically because I felt like the way you carried yourself was just this power. Like, in your dynamic, you were definitely the one in control. Like, you know what you about. Like, it's like, that's the side of yourself, you know, where you thinking down on it like, oh, I call it like I see it, you know, and my friends and my mom be getting on me for that because, like, no, you need to speak life. Yeah. You can't always call it like you see it, but, you know, that side of yourself is so authoritative. Well, that's how it is. This is what it is. And I felt like that's kind of like your body language, you know, because you're in the blur, but you still like evoke that.
Very
like,
powerful. Right. And Tally made it easy for me with that red suit because I don't know when the suit came on, it was just like
she was a different person. She was a different person when that suit got on.
No, that's me for sure. If I'm in business cash, like it's Miss Mackey. Like, I don't know who's Rihanna.
Like, we borrowed the suit, but I was like, you might need to get you one of these suits because it looked good. It looked so good.
It's like when you put it on, you just definitely feel more like you just sit. You can't slouch in something like that. You have to like be upright, and that's definitely like how she was.
Yeah, I love that. What would you have to add about this, like in your setup?
For this scene in particular, I did want it to feel like she had so much power. Like, that's why when you guys are talking about, like, even her being above, like, I really thought all of that through, you know? And honestly, I was telling them earlier, if there was something I was going to change, because I had thought about this the night before, I had meant to bring a remote because in this scene, she's flipping between like different memories. I wanted it to seem like she was the one that was like flipping the memories and everything.
Mackenzie?
Aaliyah. I wanted it to feel like Aaliyah was like, nah, like you're gonna sit down, you're gonna watch this.
Yeah.
And so I don't beat myself up too much about it. I think it still conveyed what it was meant to convey, but that was like a thought in my mind. So
Yeah.
Cause it almost seems like she's like making her watch that. Cause I mean, nobody wants to replay that in her head. But it's like, I mean, she's starting the movie, and now I'm gonna watch you watch it.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh. It's like she's stuck on it.
Yeah.
And she's keeping her
Can't
there.
even get up. Like,
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That's deep.
and then you even never see her walk out of the theater. So it's like, dang, it's just like it's like a constant replaying in her head. Like it's all in her head.
Yeah. This scene is my favorite. It's definitely
favorite?
layered in a lot of ways. Yeah. But I got some parting questions for you guys because you will not be joining us for the next session. So I just want to, I know, we've had a great discussion, ladies. I already kind of had a feeling because I was like, oh, we all know each other too well. So, okay. So I'm going to give them both to you at the same time. So that way you can just go in whatever order you please. But what is your favorite, like, peak moment from this piece, okay? And then lastly, what is next for you project-wise, and where do you see, yourself going? Plug anything if you want to, So whoever wants to start. They looking at each other, staring at you.
That's such a hard question because they're all so detailed and so like such pivotal moments. Everything.
Maybe just one we haven't talked about yet.
Okay. I'll say. I feel like for me, it'd probably be. I can go. If you, okay, go ahead.
I would say the running into her, the face, the look up, because that right there, oh my gosh, that's probably one of my favorite shots. Not my number one, but probably one of my favorites. Because like that, when she sees that it's her, it's just like. I don't know. And we was doing this in the cold pouring rain, but I'm not gonna lie.
The rain is real.
Yeah. The rain was
so
not.
Fun. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm getting my hair wet like that. But it was still so fun to me in a way. And like just seeing like you see her with the the red suit on, just like walking casually, like she's still in control, whatever. And then when Kenzie comes like running. To her, and then that's when she's like, uh-oh, wait a minute. Like, now I'm seeing, like, now she knows that I'm lingering here. Yeah. And so she's running, and then, like, the even the tackle scene, that was something, too. She got a bruise on her
arm. Scar for life.
Remember this? How big is it?
It's still there. It's just
it's bad. Tell me. She won't tell me.
She's like, will you sue?
It's just a scar to remember how beautiful this film is,
How bad is it? Just tell me. She won't tell me. She won't tell me.
I mean, it doesn't hurt anymore.
Is it bad, though? Like,
it was bad, but it's okay.
Is it still bad? Has it healed at all?
No, it's healed.
Okay.
It just won't, like, go away.
I have
You'll always remember.
I have a couple of things like that. Like childhood, when you scuffed up your knee on the playground and everything. Like I have one more recently from Jamaica because I was out there in the water, went underneath underwater cave and came out, and they kind of scrape you a little bit. But girl, I'm like, that was the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. No. But I'm happy to have the experience, and if this is the cost, so be it.
Wow.
But I would say like on camera and behind the scenes, I like that scene.
Oh, that was honestly
it was a good.
It was fun. Like even though it was rainy, I feel like it just still added to it because I felt like such like a cool person.
Yeah,
I was like, wow,
we're out here in the rain.
Right, like
serious people.
Right. Honestly, and I feel like we had a good team and crew.
Yeah, we did. Oh my gosh, with the towel.
Yes, they were just so supportive, just there for
gosh.
us, giving us warmth when we were cold.
Yeah.
It felt really great to be acknowledged, and so I definitely think the look up and then the reflecting part of everything, the flashing of everything, the editing done so beautiful on that shot, that whole scene section, and so I feel like that's probably one of my favorites, as well as when I was the painting scene,
Yes, love the
and
painting
like the slashing, because I feel like the picture itself really paints the whole picture of the whole film, like the shadowy figure. And like, so I thought it was really cool to have everything flashing on the screen. Same thing, kind of like me watching myself, my life play out. It was definitely like watching my whole thing again. So
shout out to Wallace for the painting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So
that was.
Yeah, my friend Wallace came and painted that on set day of. Yes. And they'll tell you, I was not ready to let go of that painting.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yo, it was serious.
Oh, they kept it?
No, I have it.
Oh,
Like stab it. She was like, "No, we're not gonna stab it anymore."
No, well, originally I think I had red
smashing.
paint. I had red paint.
Okay.
Yeah, I had red paint, and she was supposed to like paint red all over it. And I was like, Wallace, like I can't do it anymore because now I'm like I'm a emotional person. Like I get attached to things. So I was like, dang, she really drove out here, painted this thing, and I'm just gonna throw some red paint on it. Like,
Nah.
I was like, I can't. And then they're like, everybody on set, they're like, Tally, for the film. I was like, I don't care. I was like, and then after a while, I was like, I'm gonna let it go.
Yeah.
We can ruin it. But then we eventually decided on the knife because it made more sense. Yeah, it just did.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, shout out
I think
to
that's
her.
a pivotal moment because once I saw that knife, I was like, she about to get violent.
Yeah.
Like, something's going down. It just accelerated everything. I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
Even the way that the camera movement in that shot was
Oh my God.
so good. And that was a DP
So
Will who
beautiful.
thought of that. I did
Yes.
not
He
wait.
really ate with that.
He
He
ate
really-
that. And then the scene from underneath too.
Underneath, that's
he went on the floor. I was like, "Oh,
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those two scenes were
It's
great.
so dense, man.
Right.
It's so dense.
And they were just troopers because, like, it was raining. It was not, like, I don't think the camera gave it justice.
No, the camera doesn't. That's
wet.
one thing you will learn about acting, like, especially, I don't know if you guys have an experience as, like, background, but there was one time I was on set as a background actress, and they literally covered the principal actors.
Wow.
And they're like, hey, the rain won't capture on camera. Y'all be all right.
Oh.
We're like, everybody's sitting there like, is this 112 that they're going to give us for standing here in this rain for 12 hours really going to be worth?
No.
Yeah.
Like, it's serious, man. But once you do it, it does give you that sense of like, man, I'm really in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely see that. Yeah.
Anything for the film,
Yeah.
anything for the film.
They were troopers. It was raining. It was cold. And I would tell them, I'm like, guys, we're just going to call it a night. They were like, no, you can keep going. I'm like, yo, like, it's cold. And they were like, we shot it. We did it. And they were ready to keep going. I was like, we're going to do a reshoot day. I was like, I'm not about to set all of this up right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so shout out to them because they were like really reassuring for me. Because me, I'm like all about safety. I don't want them to be like, I got pneumonia now. Like I didn't want to do that to them.
That's a liability.
Yes, it's just because like you got Haitian parents too. Like my mom, as soon as it's cold, that could give you pneumonia. As soon, like that's how it is.
Cover your chest.
That's literally. When I was leaving today, she was like, "It's raining." I said, "But it's hot. I still got to go outside." I was like, she's like, "It's raining." I'm like, "So yeah."
My mom will not drive in the cold.
Wow.
Drive in the cold.
It's too cold. We can't drive nowhere.
That's
Everybody stay home.
all of winter.
Well, if it's a night where it drops below 20 degrees,
Wow.
we're not going nowhere. Where you need to be at?
Right. She said it's warm inside.
No, we got heat at the house.
Respect.
Like, okay.
That's funny.
Take the key and everything. I'm like, all right.
She took the keys.
Whoa,
She said because I'm not going, everybody not going.
I'm gonna wrap it up so I just tell you this one part because I know we cutting in on y'all questions, but she literally like we were supposed to go to the church to pray because they were having like a prayer week or whatever. She found out that it was below 20 degrees. She said, I'm not going nowhere, and you not going nowhere neither. Like, the keys. I was like, Mom, where the keys at? I'm going to church. She said, you shouldn't go nowhere tonight. You can pray at the house.
Right, right.
Jesus can meet you here.
Yeah, that's how Haitian parents are.
They the real
It
deal.
is.
Cutthroat.
Yeah.
But what would you like to plug? Where can the people find you? Give your handles, whatever you want to plug, because we want to support you guys. You guys are going places, and I want to be like, I went to school with that. So go ahead.
Come back on the podcast.
Yeah.
So please follow us on Instagram at Jeter Twins. It's JETER. TWINS, and then
Also
on
on
that
TikTok.
page, on TikTok as well. And then on that page, you can find our personal pages. It's Kinsey For You and Aaliyah J. So underscore ALLIYAHJ underscore. Sorry, y'all. The other names are just taken. So
yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stitch it in so that way they can see it and everything. And I'll leave it in the description. Yeah. But thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate your discussion. We need to do this again, just to hang out and kick it.
I know. And one more thing, we also creative direct, social media manage, and photography, just you name it, model, whatever. You know.
Period.
So if you want to connect, collaborate.
Multi-talented. Okay. I love it. We are here with another special guest, Miss Camalie Allen. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad to have you because this is going to be the breakdown. This is going to be the serious part where we really get into the full piece. Up until this point, we've been talking about more so Taliyah's part, but that's how you guys typically when you think of co-directing, everybody together attacking the story all the way through.
Yeah.
But you guys actually broke it off into individual stories that you guys took the spearhead on. Talk to me about that a little bit. How was that for you?
Both did our own stories, and then throughout the process, I was really how do we merge both of them? But then when we started to end our processes and start pre-production for filming, we were let's just keep them separate. They don't really have to coincide together or be together or make sense together, but they can just be two individual things. And especially for our senior seminar class, we were talking about how the guy is the input and the girl is the output.
I mean, I could talk on that a little bit. So we were watching Belly by Hype Williams, and our teacher was speaking on shine and everything, and it has deep historical roots. We're not going to go too far into it, but essentially, if the scene was too bright, if it had a lot of shine, you couldn't see anything. But then there was also contrasting scenes where it was very dark, and it was creating the same effect of I can't see what's going on in the scene. And so in the woman's storyline, it's kind of she's her own antagonist. She's it's herself that's causing this paralysis. And in the male storyline, it's the people around him getting constantly ridiculed. And so they're both in this state of paralysis.
Yeah.
But it's different inputs creating the same output. Yeah.
Like an inverse. Yeah, I'm not familiar with calculus, anyone. Praise God. I've been delivered from those classes. But, I get it. I see where your heads were at with it. And I think it even adds to it that you guys let the other have full creative control on one end of things, because that inverse relationship becomes even more real and contrasting when they're more separate and individualized. So to me, I didn't even know. Yeah. I was watching it, I was what? What you mean? Yeah. That's crazy.
We were going to combine them. There was going to be we were trying to figure it out, a chasing scene, or we talked about a car. We were going to do a scene.
a crossover?
Yeah, to make it the same universe kind of, but we decided not to do it. Yeah. It was going to be, there was a chasing scene idea, and then there was also an idea where it was kind of having Mackenzie and Aaliyah open the trunk of a car, and then Bryson, who played the male character, was gonna walk behind it or something like that. We thought about that.
Yeah.
But eventually we were we're getting too logistical. But the fact that we I felt we were forcing it at that point, so we let that go.
I feel that. I feel that. I always assumed as a viewer that they were in the same universe. Yeah. Okay, I don't know why it just felt. Maybe it's because Georgia State. I was hey, I know that street.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's what unified the team. But yeah, that's really good. I wanted to talk more specifically now about the challenges. What? Where did it get a little rough?
Film
Talk
is
to me.
Definitely a process.
It is.
Yeah. This being one of my first films that I collaborated with another director, and then with a bunch of people. We had a whole crew. We definitely came across a lot of challenges, but we got through them a lot.
Yeah. Any specific around the lines of collaboration? Look, they don't even want to talk about it. I'm stirring up the nest now.
We'll keep it chill. Okay, no. I can start. Yeah, it's just definitely like everybody has their own personality essentially and like their own approaches to things. So it's like learning how to navigate that, because even between me and Camalie, like I think we worked well together, but everybody has their own way of doing things, maneuvering things and everything. So it's a challenge for sure. Always, like, especially having 2 directors on one set, you know?
Yeah.
It's a challenge because, like, I might do things a certain way or Cam might do things a certain way. So it's, like, a matter, even, like, when she was directing her part, like, there was times where I'm like, okay, like, just let her direct. Like, don't
jump in.
Yeah. And then there's times where, like, I might throw a suggestion. Like, there's even BTS footage where I'm like, okay, well, like, let's just put a light here. Like, you know? So it's, like, it's a collaboration, but not, like, overstepping or feeling like you have power over somebody whenever. Because originally when I had the idea for the film, like, I was doing it solo. And then I told Cam the idea, and she's like, oh, that's dope. And she was like, can I add onto
Thank God.
Right?
That's...
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And when she told me her story, I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. Like, that meshes.
Yeah.
And so, and I wanted her to, like, I was like, I told her a couple times, I'm like, this is your storyline. Like, this is you. She was like, I was like, I don't know. Like, whatever you want, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So I try to give her creative space.
Yeah. Definitely with me, like, this being my first film that I was directing, we were on our dilly-dally, and I was like, it was just in my body. Like, I was so not sure about everything. Tally pulled me back. She was like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I just haven't directed, like, at all. Like, I'm pretty scared. Like, I just want to be, like, good, like a good director. She was like, listen, when it comes, like, you'll just know what to do. You'll be okay, I promise. And I was like, okay. And she said, if you need me to step in, I will. I was like, thank you so much. But that day you were talking about, I very much appreciated your lighting stuff, because I wasn't thinking about it. I was only thinking about, like, what Bryson should do in the picture.
Yeah.
And so that was the diner scene, that the lighting and the
we're gonna get
there was
into
a lot of collaboration for that one that I really appreciated.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like your different approaches. Wait, hold on. What's a dilly dally?
You don't know about the dilly dally?
My people don't know about the
dilly dally is essential to life. If you're not dilly dallying, you're not living right.
So what is it?
So basically, like, long story short, it was originally it was like me and my friend Wallace. We had met through a mutual friend named Tristan. And we just started consistently, like, meeting at the same time each week to hang out, just talking everything. And then eventually it started extending. Like, I had a Cam and then my friend Lundell. Yeah. So, like, that's, like, the core 4. So it's me, Cam right here,
executive.
Wallace. Yeah. We're the board, and Lundell.
The executive dilly-dally.
Yes.
Okay, I see.
And so a dilly-dally is, like, literally to let go of the stress of life and school. And it's, like, we're just having fun. Like, last week we were painting and just, like, we just do everything.
We went to the Mercedes-Benz to work
out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so good, though, because they talk about that, like, in psychology, like, how beneficial that is for you as an individual, but then twice as beneficial for you as a creative. Because sometimes you can strangle a story by thinking on it too much. This was the question that I was most excited to talk to you guys about, because budget level, man. Collaboration is I want to say, I don't know if I'm, they might come for me in the comments for saying this, but at this budget level, you must. You can't pay nobody.
Right. Yeah.
Pockets are dry.
Pockets on E, So what would be, like, your advice to a fellow filmmaker about how to approach collaboration? Because collaboration is a necessity. It's not like you guys, your story's a little bit different because you did have a choice to a certain degree. But we all know that sometimes to get it done, you gotta share. You gotta get it's give and take. So what would your suggestion be to a filmmaker on how to create collaboration amongst your peers?
I would definitely say, like, extend your network a lot, because you never know what someone could do for you for free. So, going into this class, like, I never had so many film friends before that were just so open to do anything. Yeah. And so I think that helps a lot, just having or being surrounded by people who are like-minded like you to execute things like this.
Yeah.
And I also think it's like, it's a thing. Like, they know we don't have the
money.
finances.
Yeah.
So I think it would be one thing if, like, you saw me pulling up in, like, a Lamborghini and then I wasn't paying you. But, like,
in the Hyundai.
yeah, right. You see my Toyota. You see my Toyota. So, I mean, it's just about getting that network, like she was saying, and then also portraying yourself in a certain way. So it's like, when I do eventually have the money and everything, like, you're my first thought, because I'm like, wow, you were there with me.
Yeah,
when we had nothing. So it's like,
let me stop.
yeah, and it's just like, it's a give and take. It's like, you helped me on my set, I'm helping on your set, you know? So it's like, and I don't expect nothing. So we just paid in food, honestly.
Yeah, you always need them to eat.
Yeah, we feed people.
Sugar Mama Tally, because she paid for the food.
They were calling me that, and I was like,
Sugar Mama?
That's what they were calling me.
Sugar Mama Tally.
And because I'll be honest, I was acting like Drake on that. I was pulling out hundreds.
I was a PA.
That's how Caribbeans are, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I had to get paid for it. So I
was the PA for her shoot day, and she just handed me $100 bill. Go get pizza.
Yeah.
Sugar Mama
You know how much pizza cost in Atlanta?
It does. It's a lot.
Well, it was $60 for 3 pizzas.
Yeah, for three pizzas.
Yeah, I mean, it was mellow mushroom, but it wasn't that good.
No, y'all eating premium.
We couldn't get any other pizza. We didn't.
I know, there's not anything.
Yeah,
there's
was
only
Saturday,
premium. Yeah.
And on campus, Rose's Pizza is closed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I didn't. I thought I was going to charge like maybe like 50 max.
Yeah.
50, 60.
She came back with $40. You like,
and then we gave
get
Ross
robbed.
20 for food because she left.
Right.
yeah.
To me, 50 was like pushing it.
Yeah.
Like,
I
for
agree.
pizza?
Yeah.
Pizza should be like $5.
Yeah.
It really should.
10.
It really should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's about building that network, honestly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that.
Right.
I am scared of networking. I will.
Me too. I'm not gonna lie. It's really hard for me, especially like just keeping in contact with people. That's the hard part, because I just don't know what to talk about.
Say that.
Or like just check
That's
up on
right.
them.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty hard for me. So that's what I'm working on.
I was watching a YouTube video the other day on cold calling, because I'm dabbling in sales for some reason now. Lord knows what I'm doing. I'm just doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But he was talking about like how like to approach a call, and it just really it gave me confidence, because sometimes you be thinking too deep
much,
on it.
yeah.
You got to make the call.
Right.
Like sometimes before I'm even ready, because let me get ready.
Yeah.
That's me psyching myself out, where I was like, well, I'll do it after I eat. You know, I can't talk to you if I haven't eaten yet. And then now I'm looking at the clock and it's 7:00 at night. I was like, it's not okay to call a professional contact at this hour, you know? So definitely just jumping in. You gotta just go.
You got to
with it. Yeah.
Kim knows I'll call somebody.
Oh yeah.
I will
Yeah.
call
She
somebody.
will really
She will call you.
Like that's
Yeah, I
so
don't believe in
unlike
that.
Gen
Like,
Z.
if I need an answer,
I'm gonna call. Yeah.
that's what I'm doing.
That's what I admire her for.
Yeah,
because
I really
I'm
do
like
admire
that.
it, because I used to be like that when I was like, pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, she's gone.
Yeah.
It's okay.
She's long
Yeah.
gone. But like, yeah, that you gotta do it.
You have to do it.
You
Yeah.
have to do it. It's the
Especially in the industry we're going
Right.
into.
oh yeah. It's really all friendships. Like it really is all connections. So
Right.
yeah.
And I also think it's good when the people on your set are your friends.
Mhm.
You know? So it's like I really enjoyed
Me too.
the people on set with
Yeah.
us. Like they were cool. I was like, we can hang out like outside of this.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
were cool. So it's always great when your friends are film people. Because like before film, I was studying engineering and computer science. And my friends from high school and everything, they're dope. But they don't do film. They don't want to do film. You know?
Yeah.
And they were super supportive. I've had friends who do nothing with film come, hold a boom pole for like that. Yeah, like shout out to them. But it's like, it's also great when your friends do film, like especially when they're specializing in each area and you have like a good network, like you have a
You got
crew
a team.
within your friend group.
Yeah.
There's nothing more powerful than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Build the network. Okay, so this is my final question for you guys together. We're gonna say goodbye. Sorry. I gotta talk with my girl. What message or like feelings did you want the audience to take away from this piece? Like what would be the one takeaway? We had a lot of themes in there. I'll read them out. Self-discovery, societal expectations. Like what what's the one message, one word you wouldn't put your finger on?
Only one word.
Oh, well, not one word.
Okay.
But, you know, the
message.
final. I normally
Yeah.
say word. You know, churchy people be like,
Yeah.
the word from the Lord is. You know.
I would say for the guy's part, Bryson's part is like you are more than just what people expect you to be. You are like yourself, and that's really you live with yourself all the time. You will die with yourself. Like that's the only thing that really matters in that situation. I think we'll get more into it.
Yeah.
For like the deeper
To
parts
elaborate.
but that's what I would say about Bryson's part.
Yeah.
For me, I would think it's more about like realizing your own potential and like paralyzing yourself in it. You know, it's like not letting yourself be your own restraint. Essentially, that's like the whole story of the film, and it's like I always imagined this as a 3-part series. So it's like I Miss Me, Where Did I Go, and we'll see how I feel in a little while. Yeah, we'll see how I feel about the third one. I think I gotta live a little bit more life before I do it, because even Jen Nikuru, when I was telling you earlier, when I met her, she was telling us about like she was like, yeah, make your film but also live, you know. So
Definitely.
I think I just need a little bit more life so I could figure out what's next for this story.
Like, you know, when they be with the choir, like, yeah, I needed that on that one.
Yeah.
That was so good. Like, she really dropped some wisdom bombs on you.
She
in
did.
that.
She was
amazing. Like there's no words.
I'm getting
Right. Jen is
secondary,
amazing.
but like I feel fed.
Right.
Like she must have had a lot to say.
She
But,
did.
Yeah. So for your parting questions, you already. I think. Well, you didn't really answer your favorite moment. We didn't get to that in your section.
I did. I talked about the piano.
Oh, so you did answer on their parting questions with them, girl. You know you ain't supposed to do that. Stop.
My bad.
But now you go plug something for us. Where should we find you?
Yeah.
What's
I'm on
next?
Instagram at Baptiste, Baptiste. I'm also Taliyah Baptiste on YouTube. And yeah, I'm working on doing documentary filmmaking. I'm working on one right now about neurological disability. That was definitely a journey to do that. And so I'm hoping to travel, you know, do documentaries in different countries and everything. So that's what's next.
I'm
Right.
glad to hear it.
And
And
I'm gonna stay
graduation,
grounded.
right?
Yeah, I'm graduating. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's serious, but we're going to get it. And,
We're going to get there. This could be great.
And I'm going to stay true to the experimental filmmaking, hopefully.
I think it's going to follow you in pretty much everything you do. Like, that's going to be your signature.
Yeah.
Because
I love it.
You do it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. So it is just me and Miss Camalie Allen. Yes. I like your name.
Thank
I
you.
like your name. I don't always get it right when I pronounce it.
It's okay.
I'll disclaimer, you know,
okay.
I'll snitch on myself, but I really do love your name. It's
Thank
very
you so
beautiful.
much.
Yeah. We're definitely going to see it somewhere, y'all. Stay tuned. Make sure you memorize that name. So I know we talked a lot in this whole episode about more so Taliyah's side of it, but where did your stories come from? Because I did do a little bit of reading. I did read y'all's proposal, so I know a little bit insight, but I wanna give you the opportunity to like break that down for us.
Yeah, so growing up, I've always saw my brother as I've always saw myself as the golden child, and he definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
And so growing up, it was just really hard to see him go through only being subjected to his performance in football and rather not his performance for like himself.
Yeah.
And so I was just thinking like it really sucks that my parents were putting on like if you do football, then like let me backtrack. We're going to put you in football and you better be good at it because this is your only way out. That type of thing. Yeah. And so I've always been like, that really sucks. And that's a reality for a lot of Black men in our society in America. So, yeah, that's where I stemmed it from.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It's very compassionate storytelling. I could definitely see it. And like his struggle, I feel like we got a lot of time to just sit with him in it and experience it
Yeah.
through his eyes. So I love that. I love that. Yeah. What about you and Bryson? Like, I know he wasn't able to make it here with us today, but how did you approach directing him? Because you had a lot more to just deal with him. So how did you think about using that time?
So for, I'm an actor myself, so I know that ultimately this character I'm giving Bryson is his, and I am the person who's going to maneuver him and guide him through it.
Yeah.
And so directing Bryson, it was actually pretty easy. He embodied what I wanted from the start, so I was like, oh, okay. Never met Bryson before this, so I was like,
wow.
Yeah. I was like, you're doing a really good job. Throughout the filming process, I knew that I noticed that he had really good mannerisms. And so that was pretty cool to witness as, like, an actor directing in. But Bryson's really sweet. He's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. That was good. I didn't know that you guys hadn't met before.
We did.
That's crazy. Like, it can bring a new element.
No rehearsals or anything.
Yeah. Oh, no rehearsals.
No
so was he casted?
He was casted. It was just told Tristan, our production manager, I need an actor. At first, I went with Jackson, but a person named Jackson, but he was in the play for Georgia State, and so we were like, okay, well, we'll have to, maneuver. So we casted Bryson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he had a conflict of oh wow.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Me too.
I think that was like, sometimes you could really see how what wasn't good turned out to be like, that's what it needed. That was the secret sauce right there. Yeah. Yeah. So what's your end game for this character? Where do you see him going?
So I am not done with this story. This was just like a what's it called? Proof of concept. I would really love to revisit this character and this idea of, like, black men are only for their bodies, not for themselves.
There's a lot of places you can go with that.
Right? At the end of the premiere, we asked everybody, any questions do you have, or did you want to make any, like, comments or anything like that? And one of their main questions was, like, so what's, like, the end for him? And for this, since it's like a proof of concept for another film that I'll make in the future, I think that it really is just supposed to just stick with people. There is no end technically for him. Like there is in, like, the woman's part. It's just like a statement piece. So
Yeah, kind of pinning down where you're trying to go in the future. Do you write?
I do, yeah, sometimes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, because I kind of got that a little bit when you were talking about where you plan to take it. That sounds great.
Yeah,
that sounds great a lot. I love hearing stories that really deal with, like, what's going on around us.
Yeah.
It really had that to it, that element. I'm gonna pick up the iPad, and I don't think we could draw on this one, but I just doesn't it just move you?
So,
like, ooh, girl, break it down.
So actually, the way we did it that day, or the way I've seen myself as a director, I will get everything that's on the shot list. Anything extra, we're good. Like, anything extra, that was an extra. After the end of the last shot of that scene, we told everyone to move down to the bottom part of the restaurant. And Solomon, the camera op and DP for this shot, he was like, just let me do a 360. I said, okay. And so I was standing on, like, the other side of the stairs, just yelling at them, like, make sure you big, like Seth's motions. I said, make sure your motions are big. Bryson, throw your head down. That was a spontaneous shot by Solomon, and I really commend him for that one because it adds to the film a lot. Our DPs are amazing. Chris and Solomon are amazing people. Their work is so good, and I really appreciate all that they have done for us on this film.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, y'all team ate down.
I know, and it was so fun to work with them. And I've never, like, this is the first, like, crew film that I've done. And it was just so chill. Everybody had a good time. I really, really enjoyed it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good to work with, like, you know, passionate people.
Yeah, I
like
love
just how we were
it,
talking about, you know, like people who like, no, I see it.
Yeah.
Like, who see your vision and want to like go there with you.
I love
you know?
it too much. Yeah.
That's so good, bro. I it's hard for me to even escape it because just to think of like that being an extra.
Right.
Like the stuff that you guys are telling me that y'all never intended to get. Man.
It's off the work of other people and what we create.
Yeah.
It's really, film was so collaborative.
Yeah. Talk to me about this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to turn on this screen record, and I'm going to pass this to you. And you can feel free to circle anything, you know, just mark it up and just talk to me about where your mind was at to, like, go here. Right.
So, at first, we shot it as like a straight close up or medium, and then I was like, let's just do a Dutch angle to really throw off this perspective of what he's going through. Like, it should relate to the audience about how he feels. For the lighting aspect, this light back here, this red light or yellow. We were in, like, this post-production. Like, in post-production, we were like, let's just keep it that way. I really love the lighting, the natural light of the bathroom back there. Same with this one, too. And then for Bryson, this is the last shot in his story. I just told him, I said, I want you to look up, and I want your eyes to be under. That's how I got that shot. It's just really like the ending of his story, of the guy's part, and like it's just the ending statement piece of him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that.
Thank
I
you.
love the way you put that.
Yeah.
I definitely, when I saw that shot, like, it's just, it works in and of itself in like containing his story, but also in relation to the other story.
Right, yeah.
That's the moment where things really kick off for the girls.
Right, yeah.
And
it's
so,
just, it's like the catalyst.
yeah, like that look, like, oh man.
Chills down my spine.
Yes.
Yeah. When you did that.
Yeah. That was really interesting. So when it comes to your approach with like directing, what do you say is like your focus with your actors? Because I know you mentioned that you yourself are an actor, and so that kind of leads you in it. But when you're trying to be on the director front and get what you want from the actor, what do you feel like guides you to get that?
Well, in school, you know, we're taught about given circumstances and how to like really be the character, give them their whole entire world separate from your own. And so approaching the story, I would say that briefly I told Bryson, I said, hey, look, you're a track athlete that's going under scrutiny, are getting ridiculed by all of these people because you didn't do a good job, and then but also like you know that this is crazy because I am separate from being a track athlete, like obviously, but
starting to see it for himself.
Yeah, Bryson is a athlete himself, and so I think he can relate to that too. So yeah, that's where I try to give direction for my actors, trying to give him like real circumstances in his own life
to anchor himself to.
Yeah. And I was actually just thinking about that recently. I was like, how do I separate myself from these characters? And like, especially if you're an actor and you have consistent jobs, like how do you go into the character and out and just be yourself, right?
That's deep. I love that. Thank you. So we are now at the last part. So the last part, of course, is our two-parting question.
Yeah.
what was your favorite part?
My favorite part, so I love the spoon scene. I got that inspiration
I'm not showing y'all that one. You better go watch it.
I got that inspiration from Divergent. Divergent is like a staple childhood movie that I watch over and over and over again. There's this part where Triss, she's in abnegation right now. She spins her spoon and it catches her reflection in the spoon. And so I recreated that with Bryson and his spoon. And we shot into the spoon. It was really cool. Chris did that one. It was super, super cool. I'm so appreciative he got that shot from me.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I will create throughout my work, just like reflections in spoons, reflections in mirrors, just keeping that reflective space in all of my films.
I think it really puts the film back on itself. You know, like, this is what it's about. Like, as you're watching the film, you're being changed by it. You're literally like looking at yourself.
Right, yeah.
You're looking at yourself through it. So I feel like, man, y'all were just, you were in your bag. Like, I just can't, I don't have words for it. I'm not an eloquent speaker, but like, when I tell you I was so excited watching this, I was like, man, everything just fell in line with it.
Thank you so much.
I love it. Yeah. So for your last question, where can we find you? Like, do you have anything you want to plug? Anything you're moving on to next?
Yeah. So my Instagram is _CAMALIE_. And then that's my main Instagram. And then I have a creative Instagram called Camalie. It's _CameraLIE_. And then I'm on YouTube. I do create a little bit of YouTube videos. Started that in high school. It's just my name, Camalie Allen. And then I'm working on a new film. It's a short. It's called Who Killed Everett West of Irwin Manor. It's like this black elite murder that we're going to make. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. When should we expect to see that project?
So we're filming it in March. So maybe early April-ish.
I would love to do this again. And get into it. Because I already can tell. It smells like a good one, too.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad that you guys were able to make it because, man, we got to do this. This is the part that like really brings it to touch.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. That's all we have for you today. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment and share this video. And also make sure you go watch Where Did I Go on Taliyah's page. I'm going to link it in the description box below. But take today to just support a local filmmaker. It's always important to shed a light on things. And I hope this really blessed you and inspired you that if you're a creative yourself to pursue it, and get in touch with other creatives like yourself to get it done. That's all for me. Have a good one.
I had class with both of them in the same semester. Didn't know.
No. Oh, you were just talking about that.
And you know what's crazy? No, I regarded them as two different people.
Really?
Because it was like, we had cinematography?
Yeah.
Right.
She was saying something about how she had a tally, and I was like, I wonder if that's my tally. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, that cinematography class was early. It was dark. Yeah. And you would come in, and I would just honestly, it wasn't until you had your film. I said, how's she in her film? That was against the rules. Like, you weren't allowed to be in the film. I said, we just gonna act like she not in the film. That's what I was thinking. But I was like, all right,
you was ready to snitch, huh?
No. I was like, let me let it lie. And so it wasn't until the teacher, she's like, so that's your sister? And you're like, yeah. I was like, and then I went to class, and I was like, oh, snap.